Welcome. What's going on, everybody? This your boy OD Tuck Rule Sports. How y'all doing this evening? Coming to you covering the game that finished a few hours ago between the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Chargers. It's still strange to say that, in which the Houston Texans beat the Los Angeles Chargers 20-16 in a game in which we thought starting off it was going to be a runaway train because the Texans started off fast. CJ Stroud looked like a future All-Pro, but as the game settled in, it's the NFL. You're not just gonna blow anybody out. But anyway, how y'all doing today? Couple days past Christmas, feeling a little bit better. Got a little time to rest, recharge myself. Still got some holiday gumbo and mac and cheese, but yeah, most of it's gonna be gone. Anyway, let's get into this game. And man, it started off great for the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud started off 4 for 4 for 2 touchdowns in their first 2 drives with a 75-yard touchdown and another 43-yard touchdown pass. They looked like they were going to run away with this early. CJ Stroud looked like the guy who he was his rookie season when we all thought he had next. He was going to be one of the next best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he was going to take over. But then he settled into I don't want to say a fraud category, but he settled into who he really is. But still, he made some big throws down the stretch. Even though he threw a couple interceptions, they weren't killers. They were both in the first half, coincidentally, after the 2 touchdowns. But he brought them down the field times in the second half for 2 field goals to ice the game when the Chargers are still struggling on offense. And that's pretty much the difference in this game. So, yeah. I mean, just some of my quick early thoughts looking at this. The Houston Texans defense looks playoff ready. They look like whoever they match up with in that first round, they're gonna give them hell in a handbasket. But this Texans offense is so up and down, so herky jerky, it's so Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that it's kind of, I don't know, man. I don't know. CJ Stroud is starting to give me that Justin Herbert itch, which coincidentally that was his dancing partner this evening. And the quick thoughts on the Chargers. I've always thought they were a super talented team with a lot of Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber guys, often injured. They coach really well because Jim Harbaugh is a tough coach. They play coach. They play tough. I'm sorry, which is the personality of their coach. They play methodical, but something about that team in general, they just don't have an it factor at all. They're like the Clippers of the NFL, but somehow better and worse at the same time. Because at least the Clippers don't give you any hope in the NBA. Like, no one thinks that the Clippers are going to be anything good in the NBA. Like, maybe they've had a couple seasons where you thought they were going to go somewhere, but you never thought that they were talented enough to win anything, and they didn't seem like they really wanted to win anything. And then when they really started to get talented guys, they just they pissed down their legs, and guys got hurt. But at least with the Chargers, man, they have so much talent throughout their history. They go from Dan Fouts to somehow they draft Drew Brees, and then Phillip Rivers right after that, and then they get Justin Herbert right after that. Man, they've had some really talented quarterbacks in their franchise history to say that they've only been to the big game once, got blown out, and Justin Herbert just looks like another quarterback in that Phillip Rivers, Dan Fouts mold with the Chargers of You're going to be really, really good and you're super talented, but I can just see it on you that you're never going to win Super Bowl. Like you might get close, you might get to the game next to Super Bowl, but I know if you get to that game, you're going to get blown out by 40 because you're not that guy. You don't know how to make plays. I don't know, and I like Justin Herbert, and I think he would be a lot better this season. His career would have gone a lot better if he'd been drafted to the Dolphins with Brian Flores, just because he needs a coach like that who's going to hold him accountable. And I think that team in general is more, that organization feels like a winning organization. The Chargers don't feel like a winning organization to me. Houston, they're still super young as a franchise. I don't know if they, I don't know. I don't think CJ Stroud is a winning quarterback yet. I don't think you can win with him. Not big anyway. You can win games. He's better than Davis Mills, but I don't know, man. Like he makes some boneheaded plays, and you can just tell he puts in a lot of work, but he doesn't put in that extra effort that all the top guys put into this game. And you can kind of see it, man. Like I don't know, dude. He started off so great this game, and he gave you so much hope, and then I don't know, man. He just pissed it down. He just pissed down his leg. But yeah, let's get into this game. Recap. First drive for the Houston Texans, as we referenced earlier. 3-play, 84-yard drive. And finished off with a 75-yard touchdown pass from C.J. Stroud to Higgins. Next drive for the Chargers, quick 3-and-out, -4 yards. Next drive for the Houston Texans, 4 plays, 72 yards, capped off by a 43-yard touchdown pass. C.J. Stroud's 4 for 4 at this point for 2 touchdowns. He's looking like he should be an MVP candidate next season, but he's only going to go down from here for him. The next drive by the Chargers, 6 plays and a punt. Next drive for the Texans, 6 drive and a punt. 6 plays and a punt. Next drive for the Chargers, another quick 3-and-out in the first quarter. The next drive for the Houston Texans, 8 plays, 31 yards, and a punt. The next drive for the Los Angeles Chargers was another quick 3-and-out because why not at this point? It's just their theme. The next drive for the Houston Texans was 3-play, 5-yard drive where C.J. Stroud threw an interception to Derwin James, who's he's still really good, man. Derwin James is still a ball hawk. He's still one of the best safeties in the league when he gets a chance to play, but that's when he gets a chance to play. That's when he's not hurt. But you still got to love his game, man. The dude still has a lot of passion. He goes out there and he plays hard, plays with his heart on his sleeve, and he's just a very enjoyable player to watch. Safety's always been my favorite position to watch as far as NFL players go. And off of that interception, then the very next drive for the Los Angeles Chargers was a 6-play, 28-yard drive for a field goal. So they finally got on the board midway through the second quarter. The next drive for the Texans was a 5-play, 19-yard drive for a punt. The next drive for the Los Angeles Chargers was a 5-play, 73-yard drive. And they had to get in on the interception action too because Justin Herbert just had to give it right back to him. It wouldn't be Justin Herbert if he didn't do his thing. The very next drive for the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud, 4 plays, 21 yards. He throws an interception to Eric Molden. He's just unraveling at this point and looking like a shell of himself. The next drive for the Los Angeles Chargers, and this probably decided the game late, in my opinion, was a 5-play, 18-yard drive that ended up with a mixed field goal. And the Houston Texans would kneel it out to close out the half. Thoughts on that first half? C.J. Stroud went from looking like a top 10 quarterback in in the league. Like he's ready to jump out and compete to be a top 5 quarterback next season, and turned into absolutely. I don't know what he turned into, man. He just he's one of those guys that you really hope, because he's such a good dude, man. You love his story. His father was incarcerated, um, and so he really wasn't in his life the entire time, but somehow he still persevered. Grew up in a really tough neighborhood, came through, was a leader, so strong, has strong Christian values, and is generally just a really great guy and a good person. But it's the NFL, dog. Like, we need more than just a good guy. We need a playmaker and a decisive quarterback. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the first half. I don't even want to mention Justin Herbert because he's just the biggest bit of fool's gold in the NFL to me right now. Anyway, coming out of the half, the Los Angeles Chargers would again go with their favorite type of drive this evening, which is the 3-and-out. On the very next drive for the Houston Texans, they also would be served a hot plate of 3-and-out. And not to be outdone, the Los Angeles Chargers somehow wasted 2 minutes on the clock and had a negative 5-yard drive for a 3-and-out, which seemed to be a very favorable dish of the early second half. But the very next drive for the Houston Texans, after a pretty good punt return, would be a 7-play, 24-yard drive that ended with a field goal. Pushed their lead to 17-3, and at this point, the game's pretty much looking like it's over because both offenses look lethargic. The Chargers look like they don't know what's going on. The Texans, they're up, but it's only because of those 2 really big plays early in the first quarter. Like, I think those 2 plays are the only thing keeping this game from being just a 3-3. It wasn't even a slugfest or a great defensive game. It was just bad offense, honestly. Yeah. But at least the Chargers would get back into the action. Their very next drive was an 11-play, 64-yard drive that ended up with a touchdown. Justin Herbert threw the short right pass to Gaston for a 1-yard touchdown. They got an extra point, brought it within 17-10. At this point in the game, they looked like they had a little life. They were at home, where for the Chargers this season, and since they've been in Los Angeles, home field advantage doesn't really mean anything. So, it still is what it is. Very next drive for the Texans, though, was a 5-play, 21-yard drive. They ended up with a punt. The next drive for the Chargers, they really needed this one if you thought they were going to make a comeback and try to win this game. It was a 6-play, 19-yard drive that ended up with a punt. Very next drive for Houston Texans, though, they had a 7-play, 29-yard drive that ended with a field goal, which pretty much iced the game. Next time the Chargers got the ball back, they had a 7-play, 75-yard drive that ended with a 5-yard touchdown run by Marion Hampton. And unfortunately, the extra point wasn't good, and the Houston Texans would just close out the game at the end. Man, CJ Stroud played so well for the first 5 to 6 minutes of this game, and then immediately after that, I don't know, man. They just sputtered. But, it's important. It doesn't matter when you make the plays. You just have to make them. He made them early. He looked really good early on. And then he fell off the wagon harder than an alcoholic on Bourbon Street. But man, he has to clean up a lot of things before the playoffs. He has to get the ball out quicker. He has to start adjusting his protections better. Um, I think a lot of his biggest problem is his confidence throwing the ball down the field. Um, um, to me, sometimes it's like he pats that ball a little bit too long instead of being a bit more decisive. I think Jim Harbaugh could help him before the playoffs, simplify the offense a bit more, give him some of those, give him some rolling pockets, even though he's not a mobile quarterback, but he needs to give him more mobile pockets, um, some rollout plays just to get him on the move, to get him comfortable and out the pocket, where he really just has 1, 2 reads. Either you throw it to your deep guy, you throw it underneath, or you run or throw the ball out of bounds. Like just something simple, just simplify the offense for him, for CJ Stroud, so that he can at least get in the groove for the playoffs, because this defense is too good, man. Like this is the championship level defense. This defense is gonna hold somebody under 10 points in the playoffs. I just hope that the offense is good enough to win them that game at that point. Um, and through all these ups and downs, man, I still think their receiving core is good enough to make plays. They just need to settle down. When it comes to the Chargers, Justin Herbert looked like Justin Herbert usually looks at this time of year. Like, what else do you want me to say? Dude's a habitual choke artist. He doesn't play well with pressure. He's constantly letting down his teams in the biggest moments. I mean, this is the same dude we watch let the Jaguars come back after Trevor Lawrence had thrown 4 interceptions in the playoff game, dog. Like, what are we talking about here? Even though I like Justin Herbert, like I take that back. I might love Justin Herbert. Like I like Justin Herbert better than I like a lot of quarterbacks in this league. I like him better than I like Baker. I like him better than I like Dak. I like him better than I like Caleb. But at this point in his career, I like him better than Aaron Rodgers. But to be real with you, Justin Herbert is he's so much of a samurai almost, and a stoic guy. His emotions don't really get too high. They don't really get too low. And as the quarterback of an NFL team, you don't have to be overly emotional, but you have to engage your emotions at some point, because he doesn't look like he has a fire in his belly at all. And the greatest quarterbacks of all time in NFL history always looked like they had a burning passion to be on the field and to win at the highest level. They looked like they were meant to be there, and they always wanted to be there, and you couldn't keep them from getting there. Tom Brady played with it, in which some people coined the affectionate phrase "Cycle Tom." Peyton Manning played with it, would bump heads with receivers on the sidelines. Joe Montana played with it. Terry Bradshaw pretty much got the job because of it. Troy Aikman played with a burning passion. Justin Herbert has all the tools in his tool bag. He has a big arm. He's athletic. He runs well. He's smart. But he just doesn't seem like he really wants to be out there, man. And I would love it if he stepped his game up a little bit. Going into the playoffs, I expect this Chargers team to do what they've done every year they got in the playoffs since Jim Harbaugh's been there. Just go one and done. That's about it, bro. Like, they're not winning the division. The Broncos have that locked up. They're going to go on the road somewhere and lose by 3 to 7 points, possibly take an early lead, and people are going to tell me the next offseason that Justin Herbert looks like he's ready to step in to be that guy. We've had this conversation his entire career, which is cool, it's fine, but I'm just not entertaining it anymore. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the Texans go, Their next game is against the Indianapolis Colts. I think they're going to win that game. Although, for some reason, Philip Rivers has been dealing ever since he came back out of retirement. The dude just looks awesome. And I don't know, maybe spilling baby food and applesauce in his shirt just pissed him off enough to where he doesn't want to do it, especially during the holiday season. But I still expect the Texans to win. That pass rush is going to be ferocious. I think they're going to hit Philip Rivers 3 or 4 times and make him wish he didn't come back, to be honest with you. But the Indianapolis Colts have another big test before that. Tomorrow they play the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I expect the Jaguars to win that game. But it's a trap game for the Jags because they're coming off a big emotional win against the Broncos. Liam Cohen returned back to his whole team. And do they have an emotional letdown against the Colts tomorrow? And to me, that'll determine what they're planning for next weekend, because the Texans could potentially be playing for the division lead next weekend when they play against the Indianapolis Colts, possibly. But we'll see. And if they do get to that game, if it's all on the line, I think they're gonna break Philip Rivers, man. I do. Like, I like Philip, but a grandpa shouldn't be out there, dog. This man is a literal grandpa, and I know that they voted on it. The Colts organization did, and all the guys in there were comfortable with it. But still, this is pathetic, man. This man has grandchildren. What the heck is he doing out here? You know. But those are my thoughts on that game. Big win by the Houston Texans, clinching a playoff berth for their 3rd straight season. Tough luck for the Los Angeles Chargers, who, again, they're always a tough luck team. At this point, who cares? But this has been your boy OD from Tuck Rule Sports, signing off. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Throw some comments to the side. Love y'all. Peace.